Hey everyone, welcome to today's video. We're going to be talking about 10 of the most alluring, seductive, super sexy vanilla fragrances in my collection. This is part of my fall gourmand series of videos. I think I might have one more that I'll do, probably focused on marshmallow and other notes that are fluffy like that. And then you can check the description box for a playlist of the other fall videos that I've done. I've had a great time doing them. Shortly after this, maybe one more, I will then start to transition into the winter focused, really heavy hitter and holiday fragrances and all of that. So earlier this summer, I did a video on sexy fragrances, not necessarily vanilla based, although vanilla made its way into that video pretty prominently. And that was mostly designers, maybe all designers, if I remember correctly. I have a nice mix here, and there might be a couple of repeats, maybe two from that video from this summer. I'll link that below for you too, in case you want to check that out right after this. But what I have picked out are 10 of the most amazing, sexy, seductive, alluring, captivating fragrances in my collection that have a really prominent vanilla either throughout the fragrance or as a base. So before we get started with my selection, I'd love for you to share yours in the comments so that our fragrance friends that are watching can check out your recommendations and build up their arsenal of super sexy vanillas. I also wanted to share a brief note about what Femme Fatale means, because I use it kind of just for fun, kind of tongue in cheek, sort of jokingly. A femme fatale, sometimes called a man-eater or a vamp, we don't want to be vamps or man-eaters, is a character, this is from Wikipedia, of a mysterious, beautiful, and seductive woman whose charms ensnare her lovers, often leading them into compromising, deadly traps. In other words, you're so captivating, so spellbinding that people can't help but fall at your feet and do whatever you wish. That's kind of dramatic. Imagine if that really happened in real life. Some of these might get people to that sort of state of enchantment with you, or at least close. So let's get to it. First up is Vanextasy from Maison Tahite. Love these bottles. I've talked about these before, and you can see I'm using up this fragrance quite quickly. This is new to my collection this year. Woo. And you're going to hear me say sexy, alluring, and seductive because I don't have a thesaurus out to come up with synonyms of those words for you. See, it's got me all tongue-tied here. This has a gorgeous, really prominent vanilla absolute note in it, accompanied by sandalwood. It's kind of a marriage between those two, some coconut milk. And even though it's not listed in the notes, I pick up a slight bit of spiciness in the background, like a really faint spiciness. There's a gorgeous sweet caramel note. In fact, did I talk about this in my caramel video? I don't remember if I did or I did not. The caramel isn't super prominent or overpowering. More than anything, it is vanilla, sort of fresh out of the bottle, if you will, alongside a beautiful sandalwood and other woody notes. This is moderately projecting and fairly long lasting. I wouldn't say into the night type of a fragrance, but will definitely get you through a good work day and be giving all day long, if you will. I think this is particularly sexy. I will say this is not one of the vanillas that my husband is the most drawn to. He's drawn to some others, and he felt like this got a little annoying on me as the day went on. However, I have heard a lot of my YouTube peers here talk about how seductive this fragrance is and how much their partners love it. And so, generally speaking, this is a crowd pleaser and one that leaves a beautiful sillage and one that causes people to come close up into your neck, even though maybe it doesn't for my husband. But Vanextasy is gorgeous. A fragrance that's similar to this, but not identical, and they do get compared a lot, is Vanextasy by Lorenzo Pazzaglia. I believe it's Pazzaglia. Anyway, that fragrance I have sampled. It's beautiful. It's on my wish list. The main thing that I noticed, and this is just from a sample, that the Vanextasy beautiful, absolutely luscious, juicy, delightful, enveloping vanilla at the beginning of that fragrance does die down a little bit into the mid. It's the opening of that fragrance that's super attractive to me. It's still a beautiful vanilla later on, but if the opening of Vanextasy stayed the way that it is throughout the fragrance, whew, I might push this one over and put that one on my shelf in its place. But in the meantime, Vanextasy is doing the job in terms of being a sexy, alluring vanilla fragrance. Next up, I talked about this one in my September Fragrance Awards. It's Vanagloria from Laboratorio Olfattivo. This one has been compared to Baby Cat. It's been compared to Rosendo Mateo No. 5. I would say the vanilla in this is maybe more prominent than whatever sweetness is in No. 5, which tends to be a little bit more musky and ambery. Now, this is really truly getting into deep femme fatale territory in that this is the kind of fragrance that you put on and you don't even realize the allure and attraction that you have wearing this. Now, I have sampled Baby Cat and I do like it. I have Rosendo Mateo #5 and I also really, really enjoy that fragrance. This one is a little bit more mysterious even than those two. It's such a beautiful balance between a lovely vanilla, tonka bean, heavy tonka bean, some incense, a little bit of a smoky touch without veering off into by the fireplace territory. So for those of you that are scared of those types of fragrances because you don't want to smell like a literal campfire or fireplace, and I love by the fireplace, it's so subdued and subtle in this fragrance that you probably wouldn't pick it up if you didn't know to smell for it. This fragrance also has some touches of a deep resinous quality to it and a real sort of faint, light saffron muskiness. More than anything though, this is a vanilla with a little bit, like I said, of incense. Now, if you look on Fragrantica, it tells you that the incense smoky aspects are maybe more prominent than what they are. I really think this is more in vanilla territory with tonka bean and with some resins, with the smoke and the incense kind of accompanying it in a really subtle way, like very mixed in. If you think about ingredients in a recipe being mixed together, sometimes you can pick out certain ingredients when you put them in, like you might taste the vanilla or the butter or the sugar in a cookie, for example, or in other cases, they might really just complement each other so beautifully that not one sticks out from the other. There's sort of like an orchestra arrangement of really beautiful notes together. And I think that's what this is. This is subtle, but like silent, but beautiful, if you will, in terms of walking into the room. I imagine someone that has a lot of presence, isn't loud, doesn't need to make themselves known, but you're going to direct your attention to them because they are so beautiful and well put together with every piece of their outfit on, correctly ironed, starched, nicely tailored, the whole bit. That's what this fragrance is. One that's newer to my collection as of this summer, and I ended up selling the OG, the original, because I like this flanker so much more. It is Ani X from Nishane. These are available on So Avant-Garde, and if you want, you can use my discount code Veronica20 to shop using the link below if you're interested in this line. I also love Fan Your Flames X, which I'm probably going to pick up. I said before I wasn't going to pick it up, but I'm probably going to pick it up. And then I do have 100 Silent Ways X. Anyway, this isn't a Nishane X video. This is a vanilla video. Wow, this fragrance, I love about it more than the original that it has a brighter sexiness to it. So the original was a little bit difficult, a little challenging in the opening. It felt a little bit scratchy and a little bit strong in ways that didn't feel comfortable to me. And it wasn't until the mid and the dry down of the original Ani that I really came to understand why people love it and its beauty. And I like that fragrance a lot. This one, I would say, is a strong like into early love territory. This fragrance has a heaping dose of many different kinds of oils at the top. You've got bergamot oil, lemon oil, you've got cardamom oil, and there's also still the ginger and a pepperiness at the top of the fragrance that make it intriguing and bright and happy. I would say this is bigger on the bright citrus than the original Ani, which I thought maybe leaned a little bit on the masculine side in the opening. In the mid, there is some patchouli, and I will say that I pick up subtly on the patchouli in this fragrance throughout, but it's not, for me, as pronounced as some other reviews might lead you to believe. I don't feel like this is a heavy patchouli fragrance, but I feel like it lends some intrigue, some depth, some mystery to the fragrance. In the base, you get woody notes, and you also have that beautiful classic Ani vanilla. It still remains a spicy vanilla, but that added touch of citrus gives it this brightness. So it's like a happy, sexy fragrance. This is the jovial person that comes into the room, just loving on everyone, smiling, full of life and energy that everyone is attracted to because they're so confident and happy. And that is where their sex appeal comes from. And they're warm and inviting at the same time. That is how I would characterize Ani X if it was a person. Long lasting for me. Projecting, I think it's beautiful. I don't have any of the issues with this fragrance that I had with the originals. When I first sampled this next fragrance, I thought it smelled like a super duper luxurious, expensive ambery soap with a lot of high quality notes, ingredients, etc. in it. However, when I decided to take the plunge and purchase the full bottle, I do still think it smells like a beautiful, expensive resin-based type of soap. But I pick up so much more of the vanilla in this fragrance now that for me, it is a vanilla amber fragrance. And that is material from Amouage. This is one that my husband is captivated by. This is for him and maybe two others in the lineup, the most femme fatale of the group on me. This is a fragrance that has a beautiful, soft, thick, resinous nature to it, a gorgeous Madagascar vanilla. It has some woodiness, a tiny bit of a really smooth leather. The leather is faint in this fragrance, not pronounced, okay? It's really like an accompanying background player to lend some depth, some character, some heft to the fragrance. But for me, the stars of this are the vanilla, the tonka bean, and the resins mixed together into this really delicious, almost sticky fragrance on you that is very cozy, will be great for winter. I'm putting it here in the fall. You're probably going to see it again in winter videos because it has that beautiful depth and this warmth. This is the sexy warmth, okay? This is the woman in the room or gentleman or whatever that has the heavy sweater on and they feel so cozy and enveloping and you hug them and you don't want to let go because they're so comfortable, but they have curves to them. They're, round in all the right places or maybe firm in all the right, what the hell am I talking about? Firm in all the right places. You like hugging them. This is the person in the room that you really enjoy. You got like the sticky hug, that like coming close kind of hug. Anyway, it's a really beautiful fragrance and I find it to be sexier the more I wear it. My husband thinks this is uber sexy. So material. I am going to get a bottle of the original of this next fragrance really soon. I've got a big sale coming up here with one of the retailers, so watch out for that in the coming months. It's Lune Feline from Atelier Dior. So this is a fragrance that is very polarizing. A lot of people cannot tolerate this fragrance because it's very punchy in the beginning, in the opening of the fragrance, super spicy, maybe in a way that turns some folks off. Heavy cinnamon and cardamom, a peppery opening on this fragrance. It has a beautiful, though, woodiness as it starts to dry down, and this gorgeous, delicious, thick, luscious vanilla. And the vanilla is accompanied by a little bit of muskiness and a resinous touch. It has almost like this deep ambery feel to it. Really thick fragrance. It is intense, okay? This is a projecting fragrance and a very long-lasting fragrance. And this is maybe one of the va-va-voom fragrances of the group. This person is coming in with form-fitting clothing. It's a woman. She is curvaceous. She's got that red dress hugging all the right curves, and she's got that beautiful flowing hair on her and the high heels. Lune Feline. And I do have currently just a dupe of it from Alexandria Fragrances, and this is called Moonstruck. And I've enjoyed this so much that I think I want to go ahead and splurge for the real thing. Now, have you tried the extrait version of Lune Feline? I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. And should I get the extrait or the regular? I think I'm just going to get the OG bottle of Lune Feline. I do love the Atelier Dior bottles. I like the shape of them. I think it's a really classy design. The glass is heavy and substantial, well-made bottles. I don't love that they have the gold flakes in them. Do you? A lot of folks really enjoy that and they're sort of mesmerized by the floating red flakes. I think at first I was, and then when I realized they actually spray out onto them, like, I don't want gold flakes on my body. But anyway, Lune Feline. Fabulous, really sexy, really the seductress. This is like the epitome of a femme fatale type of fragrance. Okay, this is the Jessica Rabbit in the room. And then a new release in 2023 when I'm filming this video. I adore this fragrance. It is instantly captivating, instantly super attractive. Like you want to stick your nose inside of the actual bottle. It's so, so good. This is Valentino Donna Born in Roma. Now, I think this is a lot more crowd-pleasing than the regular Donna Born in Roma, which some people think is maybe a little bit too soft. So that one is jasmine and vanilla. This is very heavy on the vanilla and also has this beautiful, deep, round, like resinous, ambery aspect to it that gives it almost like an evening depth to it that the regular Donna Born in Roma did not have. I think this is one of the sexiest designer releases ever, and absolutely this year. You do need to enjoy jasmine. I wouldn't say it is the most prominent in the fragrance, but it is a beautiful, soft, floral, There's a floral aspect from the jasmine is what I mean. And there's this delicious sweetness, like a soft sweetness in this fragrance that isn't, I don't think, in any of the other ones that I'm going to mention today. So in that sense, this is even more feminine, if you will, than all of the other fragrances if we tend to think of sweetness as something that we ascribe to like being like a feminine characteristic. I love the bottle. I think this gives you an idea of what it's about. For me, this is like it could have been noir. It could have been Donna born in Roma, Donna born in Roma noir, okay, as a fragrance. Definitely a beautiful date night fragrance. Another one that my husband is really drawn to, like a moth to a flame, burned by the fire. Can't you see my desire? Isn't that like a lyric from a song? Is that Janet Jackson? Or is that Madonna? Come on, Vogue. No, is it Janet Jackson? Help me out. Janet Jackson, Madonna? I don't know, somebody. Ooh, so good, so beautiful. This has a lot more of a girly aspect, if you will, like a pink aspect from the florals that are in it. Does that make any sense? Then maybe some of the other ones do that are purely like sexy, deep, resinous, sticky, ooey gooey, beautiful vanillas. Oh, love this stuff. This next one, if we're talking about characters at a party, this one is in the dark corner looking at you. I'm not really good at this stuff, but I'm trying. Looking at you across the room, like trying to seduce you with her eyes. This is a vampy, carnal, seductress type. Like, I'm looking at you. Can you tell I am not good? I was not that person at the party. I was never the person in the dark corner going, like trying to get you to come hither. I was probably the happy one, you know, the happy, jovial one, giving out hugs to everyone, just being the life of the party. That's a lie too. I'm very introverted, but if I know you at the party, then I come in and give everybody hugs. Otherwise, I'm actually kind of shy. Are there any shy vanillas? I'd like to think that in a room full of people that I don't know, I would be this vanilla. That's sort of like mysterious, well put together, well tailored, structured, gorgeous vanilla. And then in a room full of people that I know, I would probably be the happy, jovial, sexy vanilla. Vanilla. I'm not this one, absolute aphrodisiac from Initio. This is somebody else. This is some other woman. This is the woman you want to keep away from your man. I'm just kidding. Nobody believes that sort of thing, right? So when people talk about this fragrance, they talk about it being animalic. Why is that? There is a castoreum note. Castoreum is an animal, like a mimics an animal smell. So there's something a little bit carnal, almost like naughty, dirty in this fragrance. So it's like a thick, almost dirty, like bordering on being dirty vanilla. Does that make sense? Almost like it has a touch of naughty earthiness. It's amber, it's musk, it's that castoreum note. And there's also a floral aspect to this that people don't really talk about. The flowers are not prominent, but they do add another sort of layer, like a little bit of complexity. If you think about like a woven material and there's an extra thread in it that gives it maybe like a little bit of glitter or gold, I would say that the floral aspect in this does that. It adds just a little bit more dimension to the fragrance without being really noticeable. However, this is a seductive vanilla. This is a vanilla that you wear when you're on a date and you really want to draw the person in close to sniff on your skin, snuggle into your neck and try to smell what you're wearing. And maybe it's a little bit arousing. I don't know. So my husband does enjoy this. I don't know that he will go so far as to say that it's arousing, but I would imagine in a date situation, it might do that. So remember, in the corner, in the darkness, looking across the room like, absolute aphrodisiac. Next up is like almost a pageant queen type of sexy. It is Jean-Paul Gaultier, La Belle Parfum. This is a flanker of the original. And you know the difference because I think that her boobs are a little bit pointier than on the other bottle. And whereas the other bottle gets a little bit clear on you as you start to use the fragrance inside, you can start to see through it. This one remains opaque at the top. It's an ombre effect. Really gorgeous bottles. I really like these bottles. Some people think they're tacky and hate them. I like them. I think they're really cute. I love that this fragrance is rich, it's opulent, it's almost decadent and edible. A lot of people don't really talk about this being like on the edible side. The main notes that are featured both on the website and on Fragrantica are pear, like you have in the original, tonka bean, I believe jasmine, and vanilla. So it's almost like a desserty vanilla. I have a little bit sprayed here. That deep, very sweet, fruity aspect is in the fragrance. I wouldn't say fruity as in a fragrance that you would normally think of, like a fruity fragrance, like girly in that sense. It's almost like a deep cooked down type of fruit where the juices are running deep and they're warmed up. There's also a nutty aspect to this. Does anybody else get that? Like once you snuggle into where the scent is, almost like this almondy type, like paste, almond paste type of scent that I think adds to that edible quality of this. But this is sexy. This is a very confident scent. This is a powerhouse of a fragrance, very projecting and long lasting, will take you through the whole day. You don't have to spray a lot. This will be another sort of great date night fragrance where you want it to smell alluring, but not too much so. You don't want to be overbearing in the super sexy direction, but it definitely has that allure, that appeal, that attraction, like this magnetic thing where you want to snuggle in close. Again, maybe it's the tonka bean that's giving off alongside that vanilla, something in the nutty territory, but imagine like a really deep, overly ripe, cooked pear with something almondy. Lovely, lovely fragrance. A lot of people don't talk about this anymore, but she's hanging tough in my collection and she's sexy. We've got two more to talk about. And don't forget, as we head toward the end of the video, to put your favorite sexy vanilla fragrances down in the comments. And also, as usual with this series of videos, check the pinned comment for additional sexy vanillas that didn't make it into this particular lineup for time. This next one is polarizing. People love it, or they just feel either meh about it. I don't know that anyone hates it, like can't tolerate it, but I think some people just don't get what the big hype is about. I get the hype, and this is Tom Ford's Fatale. Perhaps this should have been the caboose of the lineup here because it has Fatale in the name, but there's one that's even sexier than this one. Here's what I really love about this fragrance. It smells the way a sweater might smell the day after you've worn it, with a really cozy, cuddly fragrance on. Think vanilla, think resinous, sweet notes, think some edible notes, think maybe even like some booziness to it. And you pick up that sweater and it's settled and it has become richer and deeper, if you will, as the night has gone on and gone into its finest, deepest, thickest, most delicious base notes. That is what this fragrance reminds me of, the texture of a beautiful sweater up to your nose with that really cuddly scent on it. And so in that sense, this is a cozy, sexy fragrance. Very, very appropriate for fall and into winter time. I could see this being great for being warm and sexy and sensual fireside, even Halloween night into the fall holidays, great Thanksgiving type of scent. This is the warm, comforting, cozy, enveloping hug type of sexy. Fatale, absolutely gorgeous, a little bit understated. This isn't a super loud fragrance. It comes in to be, a small scent bubble, maybe even skin scent-ish after 3, 4, 5 hours. But I think that's the appeal of this fragrance, that this is one that you really need to enjoy in a hug, up close, or lingering on fabric, from you wearing it that day, or maybe you pick up that same sweater and throw it on the next morning to go to breakfast before you really get done up for the day, what that sweater might smell like, oh yeah, I had a great evening last night. It was so much fun. We were cuddled up, watching movies, having a little bit of sexy time together. And then quite arguably, one of the very best vanillas, one of the most refined, iconic, amazing, rich, opulent, deep, sensual vanillas in my collection. The queen herself, Dior Addict. Dior Addict. Beautiful, sultry vanilla in the fragrance, lovely sandalwood, jasmine, some other florals, gorgeous tonka bean. There are different formulations of this. You can explore that online. We're not getting into all of that here, except to say that even the reformulated version or versions are still absolutely gorgeous. This is that fragrance. I've told the stories before that when I wear this, undoubtedly I get a comment from someone about how amazing I smell. I've been chased down to be told that I smell very expensive. And I dare say, in my mind, this is a very alluring, sexy fragrance. This is absolutely cold weather, date night, knock 'em dead type of vanilla. When you want to impress people around you and come off as having really fantastic taste and smelling just decadent and beautiful, Dior Addict is that one. Let me know what you think of this list. We're at the end. I love all of these vanillas and plan to drench myself in them this fall and winter. Again, don't forget to leave your own thoughts in the comments and let me know what you thought of this lineup. I'll see you in the next video, my friends. Until then, take care.